Good morning, good morning. Coffee Cup Chronicle, day 110. Love this little coffee cup. They even put my name on it. I'm left-handed, so I got to hold it this way, right? So, anyway, I got to tell you about this cup. I bought this cup at the Broadway Market in Buffalo, New York, 81, 82. And I've had this cup that long. In fact, most of my cups I've had for years and years, as y'all well know. I'm finding out I don't have 200 coffee cups. I'm more like probably 150. So we got a little ways to go yet. Anyway, let me tell you about Lancaster. First of all, let me tell you that we moved out there in 1963. We used to live when I was born, when I was raised, early years, 51 Sandstone Drive in the Tioronda projects. Now, for those of you that are here in Buffalo, when you're coming from downtown Buffalo on the 33, when 33 intersects with 90, if you look off to the right, there's these row houses. And there are three of them, 1, 2, 3, and there's each house has 4 apartments in it. And it's called the Tioronda projects. And those used to be for government employees. My grandmother was a Rosie the Riveter. She worked at Curtis Aircraft, and they provided housing. And then after the war, and that closed down, they were converted to apartments, and she stayed. And then we moved in. I don't remember what year my mom and dad moved over there. I just remember being raised there, and all the way up till 2nd grade. Hey, I remember when the Skojacata Expressway was being built. Yeah, there was another row houses where that is now. I remember when those houses, there were another set of 3 row houses there. Anyway, in 1963, we moved out to Lancaster, New York. What I do remember, getting off the bus, November 22nd, early dismissal. President Kennedy had been shot, and 7 ray beams coming down from a cloud. When I got off the bus, the bus dropped us on Markey and Bottomer. We lived at 43. I'll never forget that day. I was raised in a Leave It to Beaver house, folks, in Lancaster. I had a mom and dad that loved each other. They showed it. They loved their kids, both my brothers and I. They were always there for us. There was no yelling or screaming in our house. There was punishment. My little brother and I used to get in arguments, and especially on Sunday during a football game, when Dad would stand us in a corner. But anyway, my mom and Dad didn't argue. I think they had 3 maybe. 2 I distinctly remember. The first one, I don't remember what it was, but I remember there was one. The second argument I do remember was my dad decided to grow a mustache. Yeah, it lasted about 3 or 4 days. And I remember the conversation at the table. Mom said to Dad, "Bill, I'll cook, I'll clean, I'll get your laundry taken care of. But until you shave that mustache off, I'm not kissing you again." We didn't know what that meant at the time. We do now. Day 5, that mustache was gone. Yep. It's funny. Anyway, went to Lancaster High School. Lancaster Redskins. No, they are not the Legends. Man, it was a great school. We had Mr. Rialdi was the principal. The son was vice principal. Or people like Mr. Getz, Mr. O'Connell, Mr. Schmick. He was a typing teacher. He was an albino. He had to get this close to look at the keyboards. But he taught us how to use a typewriter, right? Which who knew 30, 40, 50 years later, you were going to need it to be on the computer, right? Tell you something else. My shop teacher was Mr. Renzoni. Now, jet forward years, like 20, 30 years. My oldest daughter, Jennifer, married my high school shop teacher's son, Mark Renzoni. There's a story there, folks, let me tell you. I married a gal in high school, Mary Jo. We moved away. I was in the Air Force, and unfortunately got divorced 6, 7 years later. She came back home. I wandered around the country. Came back in 81 to 83. Like I said, worked at Lancaster Country Club. I bought a cup like this. It was more narrow and thicker bottom. I used to sit this right on the grill to keep my coffee hot. But anyway, the kids came back here. And Jen met Mark in the University of Buffalo. Had no idea the Turlington name. They dated for years. And then for some reason, somehow, Mr. Renzoni finally asked Jen about, was your grandmother's name Betty? She said, yeah, why? She said, well, she took care of us at Lancaster High School. She ran the teacher's room. What a coincidence. And it was another 2 or 3 years before the conversation, I guess, came up again, and they realized that Don was her dad and that I was a student of his. See, I think it was his first year in shop or first year as a teacher, and my last year, I think it was 11th grade, it might have been 10th, that I had Mr. Renzoni. The world is a small place, folks. Let me tell you. Not so small, but it is small. You'll run across those, trust me, it's happened more than once in my life. Also, hey, Lancaster. There's 13 Lancasters in the United States. I know California, Ohio, Missouri. There's also a Lancaster in the Ontario province of Canada. But the one most people know is Lancaster, Pennsylvania, home of the Amish. It's one of the largest Amish communities in the United States. The other ones are mainly in Ohio. We have a small contingency of them in Gowanda, from Gowanda to Salamanca, New York. And there's a small gathering out here east of me, out in Lyndonville, New York. But Lancaster was a great little town to grow up in. Never locked our doors. You know, that was back in the 60s, 70s. And I still have neighborhood friends. Just lost Tom Antes this past fall. From school, I go to Leonard Grosso is a friend of mine still from the old neighborhood. We used to play ball together, baseball, football, basketball. I don't know if Len played ping pong with us or not. We had the only ping pong table in the neighborhood, and it was a gathering point. But Lancaster was a great little community to grow up in. Like I said, virtually no crime. Loved our little town. Still do. Of course, they're putting in a traffic circle now at the end of Main Street. I won't talk about it. You poor folks in Lancaster. Urban renewal in the 70s ruined Main Street. They finally reversed that last year. They took all that out, continued Main Street all the way over to Aurora, and now they're putting in a traffic circle, which nobody wants. There's already been possible 2 or 3 accidents there at that corner. Anyway, I love Lancaster. I love where I came from. I love my family. I love being raised by mom and dad who loved each other. And I'm very, very fortunate to have a great family. And that continues. So, Coffee Cup Chronicle, day 110. Hope y'all have a great day. Make sure you tell your loved ones you love them. It really helps. And it matters down the road. Y'all have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.